Hello, and welcome to another episode of Home Service Success TV. We have an awesome guest for you today. He's been in the industry since 1977. He worked as a tech for over 10 years and started his own heating and air business in 1985. In 1998, he discovered a talent for coaching others on their sales process, and in 2001, he launched Contractor Selling, making business coaching and consulting his full-time gig. Contractor Selling offers e-learning tools and live national events and more. He's trained over 6,000 people, ranging from smaller shops to companies doing well over $200 million in revenue, along with other noteworthy industry coaches. The ripple effect he's created over the past 2 decades in the industry cannot be understated. We're excited to introduce Joe Crisara. Welcome, Joe.
Wow, thank you. That's I'm not sure if I'm going to get my head out the doorway here. I'm going to be feeling. You made me feel so good there, Davis. Thank you for that great introduction. And by the way, thanks everybody for inviting me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with everybody. Thank you so much.
Well, of course, and we're super excited to have you on and learn a little bit about you and all the amazing things you've done throughout your career, from working on the ground floor to discovering, your talent for helping others grow their business and, creating your own business out of doing that, which seems like a dream to me, right? Learning from your own mistakes and then helping others grow from the mistakes that you've made in your past and all the things that you've learned during your time coaching. So give us a little bit of background on what that looked like, kind of what those early days looked like, what the discovery period of coaching consulting looked like, and where you're at now with all that.
Well, I just started out like a lot of guys do, where my father was in the plumbing and heating business, and I wound up starting out after high school after I graduated in 1976, and I went to a trade school and got involved with the training and learning, and got a job, getting started, and I became a service technician and just did that job first. Very quickly, I wound up being a service manager by 1980s, early 80s. By 1985, I started my own company. Of course, I didn't know anything about business. I said I was a technician who was suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. I went into business. Didn't know anything about business. I thought I did. I figured what you buy low and sell. You buy low and sell high, right? But I learned that I didn't know much about how to communicate that stuff. Started out doing okay, but then wound up hitting a wall about 1991. That was the epiphany where I'm like, okay, I was in such bad trouble financially that I had to figure things out, which I did. I had a customer of mine who said, Joe, why are you always trying to save people money? You're always giving discounts. You're always trying to save money. Why don't you try and just provide better service, and then people will pay more? And I just couldn't understand that. And he gave me some books to read on pricing and persuasion. I didn't know there was a whole billion-dollar industry on the science of pricing and the science of persuasion, and started applying some of those lessons. And I was quite a bit in severe debt in 1991. By 1994, I was debt-free, and he turned me around. And his name was Dave Muller, a guy who he's passed away in 2008. But he got me going on how to make premium, mid-range economy options, what I'm famous for. I'm like the options guy, right? How to verbally package solutions so we don't talk about the parts, we talk about the service we offer, how to make it customized and relevant to every client, and then how to bring it to a conclusion to assist people to get the job done. Because, closing people isn't something you do to people. It's a service you provide to guide them to the right solution. And sometimes the solution is not even me. I will say even today, if I can help somebody find the right solution, whether it's me or somebody else, I will help that person. And I always help people at first for free to make sure they understand that I'm here to help them. And then if they want to purchase more of it, I give them the options. Even today, I give them the same kind of options, and people make purchases. And so we had a record year last year, and every year has been growth every single year since we started this thing. And I'm just proud and honored to have an association with people like you here at Wit Digital and the people on this podcast I'm honored. I got to pinch myself when I get invited to something like this. So thank you so much, Stephen and Davis. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Super stoked to have you. I mean, Joe, you and I have known each other for a while, and I've watched a lot of the people that you help, and we've had the fortunate opportunity to have some mutual clients and stuff, and that's been really fun. And so I know you definitely make an impact on people's business when you are the right fit. And I love that whole kind of philosophy of, look, I'll help people for free, or just help people at least make the right decision, whether or not that's me. Because our philosophy is very, very, very similar here. It always works out better in the long run.
Yeah, I think if you can, I always tell every client, I say, you're always going to feel like you owe me something, not that I owe you something. The dynamic should be, the service is so good that it should be like, it starts out like, that's a lot of money, but it should turn into, wow, he should actually be charging more for this, because it's really working for me, And so the good news is that I feel like the service I provide, well, and I know it. If you look for a bad review, you won't find one. I know Davis is very meticulous looking for that. You won't find one. But the reason is that the service works every time. It's like the things I learned back there in 1991 are still present today. And of course, with digital technology and stuff like that, it's even more present. It's easier to do that now than it was back then. And so many great tools out there, that both on software and things to communicate. Let's think about last year, guys. If I told the average person, let's do a Zoom call, they'd be like, what's that? Now it's like Zoom is like McDonald's, right? Like even your mom knows what it is. So just that alone, if you're not Zoom proficient, good luck. Your competition is, so that's some things that's changing so much. And the good news is that the things we learn still apply to what the new technologies, so that's why I'm so happy to have people like you who are on the cutting edge like that. I consider people like you on the cutting edge, and I learn something every time I listen to this podcast. So that's why I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Yeah, you bring up an interesting point. Sorry, Davis. I know Davis is always great. Davis knows exactly what we're going to talk about, because he knows how to pull the most valuable thing out of you. But the point that I think is interesting that I actually didn't think about is, leaders are always on this cutting edge, right? And true leaders don't ever think they know all the answers, because we might have a pretty good idea of what the best thing is to do today, but tomorrow that might change. And man, if we ever had a year that proved that to us, it was last year. And so just for us, I tell myself this all the time. I'm sure you do, and your clients, and for anybody else listening to this, like, never think you know all the answers, and never think that there's not something else to learn, because tomorrow there's always something else to learn. And we don't have to have all the answers perfect. We don't have to do everything. Just be willing to lean into what is now important.
I agree with you. And when I go on I'm in those Facebook groups, like quite a bit of Facebook groups. And the reason I enjoy that isn't because I am addicted to social media like people might think I am, but really what it is that it pushes me. I see something, I'm like, oh yeah, we got to do something on that, or we got to address that. I learn what the market needs and I'm able to provide it, because I'm like, oh yeah, we have this. And sometimes I just give something to people and they're like, wow, I can't believe I just got a whole book on inventory or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I wrote that in 1998 or whatever. And they're like, you just give that to me? It's like, well, normally I would make it pay, but since it's not going to, and I would say this, Stephen, you're going to run out of things to ask me for way before I run out of things to give you. That's what I always say. So I'm never going to run out of things to give. If I gave you one thing a day, we would go for 10 years for each day, and you'd be wondering when's he going to stop giving me things. So the bottom line is that in all those years of doing things, I've accumulated a lot of things, and that's why I look at it. If I give them something that's not even my core thing I do, that can help you, and then obviously the core thing becomes something. I gave away recently a thing on inventory control to a group, and I had it was 120 people ask for that book for free. Hey, if you want the book, let's give it to you. 120 people bomb me on my messenger, and I go ahead and just send it out to everybody. Nice. They're like, 75. I'm like, hey, I'm still going to hire you for sales training. I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to. And I call it the open hand, right? You give people things with an open hand, and like, say you scooped up sand on a beach and you'd have a big pile of sand in your hand, But if you tried to close it and take ownership of people or ideas, then you open that hand again, and then you wind up with about a size of a quarter of sand because you tried to grasp on and own too much of it, right? It's like these things I teach are universal, and so, I teach a lot of things the same as other sales trainers do, but there's a certain way that I deliver the information that I think is better because I'm delivering it, so that's the thing the thing that makes our service better is me. I feel that nobody's going to have the passion I have, and nobody's going to have the experience I've got and the different stories I've got that are unique, and that's called authenticity in a way. Does that make sense? I think if we all are authentic with each other, I think that people appreciate that. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Certainly. So I think this is actually a great way to prime the conversation that I kind of want to have here, which is, there are fundamentals within your processes, your sales, with the conversations that you want to have with your customers, regardless of how the times change, right? Regardless of the technology. And one of those things, Joe, and I think this is one of your specialties, is developing pricing options. So maybe you can speak a little bit on that, on one, why are pricing options counterintuitive? A lot of people that's not the first thing they think of when they're starting their pricing process or their sales process. They kind of do that classic backwards formula where, okay, how much time is it going to take? What are my expenses? What do I want my margin to be? That's what the customer is going to pay, right? Versus when you're coming up with value-based options, I think that formula is kind of reversed a little bit. It's all about what is the customer actually getting. So I don't want to talk too much on that. I want to let give you some space to talk about what were you doing before, what was really not working, how did you discover pricing options, and how do you roll that out? How do you explain that to people that you train?
That's a good point there. I think everybody starts out obsessing over one price. What's the price to get a new furnace or a sewer drain cleaning, or what's the price I'm going to charge for this thing? And they're obsessed. They put that in the laboratory and they obsess over it, right? The truth is, most of the times your price book, usually it's not enough, really. But there's a self-leveling thing that in life, the prices can only be as high as the ability we have to explain it. So if we can't explain what $50,000 in value sounds like, it doesn't make sense to charge $50,000. So your price kind of levels itself based on your ability to explain what a $50,000 solution would benefit people. So the $50,000 solution better have $250,000 in benefits in a way in the long run, right? Because if it doesn't, why am I doing it, right? And so I think it's sort of a self-leveling. So I think everybody is kind of like, how can I make just one thing sound good, right? And they obsess on that, and they even have a hard time with that. And the reason they have a hard time is ironic. Everybody else is doing that. And so now you can't stand out from the crowd when everybody else is giving one price and you're giving one price. Now it's like your prices versus his price. But when I come with a premium, mid-range, and economy price, it's like, wait a second, that's different. So right off the bat, am I going to buy from the guy who gave me all the prices or the guy who only gave me one price? And by the way, which price did that guy give me? He gave me the cheapest price. The other guy gave me the premium, mid-range, economy. So he showed me the best. He didn't care about the money. That's the kind of guy I want to buy from. See, that's the cycle, or the customer discovers that because they're like, he didn't filter me to say I wouldn't show him. He didn't mind read me or things like that. So I think you got to start out making the menu. How are we going to do this? If you owned a Starbucks, they'd say we're going to have our hot drinks, our cold drinks, and our pastries. Now we just got to fill in what are we going to do on those menus. We have do it that way. Over at McDonald's, they have the bundle. Here's our number. Give me the number 4. It has the fries, the drink, everything in it. You could just order the burger by itself, or you can just get the fries by itself. So the way I look at it is this way: the options are represent freedom, the freedom to choose. Does that make sense, Davis?
It does. And I think it's interesting too, how you mentioned, if you get a price shopper and they're, comparing you and a competitor, and say you don't have the pricing options, but your competitor does, or vice versa. When you have those options, you kind of end up competing with yourself versus with other companies that are, displaying other prices. So if you've got those three options, it gives the customer the opportunity to be like, well, gee, I'm kind of like, in between these two zones but they're ultimately the same contractor versus, I got one price from this guy, I got another price from this other guy, and then they're trying to like devise where the value is between who they're going to choose. So it changes the conversation completely.
It does. It changes the market. You're creating a new marketplace, basically. Best Buy. You go to a Best Buy. Everybody bought a flat screen TV. You go to talk to a guy in a blue vest, and you're overwhelmed with TVs. You're like, right. This is confusing. You sit around with your hands in your pocket. Finally, somebody says, "How can I help you?" Oh, good. I'm looking for a flat screen TV. Well, do you want the 4K, which is the TV of the future? Do you want LED, or do you want plasma, the old school? What's the difference? Well, the 4K, they don't even have technology that makes it work yet, but it's coming. And then we got LED, which is the current professional technology, and plasma's on the way out. Yeah, show me LED. And now you're at the LED, right? Oh, now we got 6 TVs. Here's the premiums. Oh my God, 10,000? I can't do that. How about the 7,500? No. How about the 5,000? How about the 2,500? Yeah, what's that one?
Yep.
And it's like, well, we got 2,500 or 2,700. What's the difference? The one smart TV, it has all the stuff built into it. The other one, you got to wire it yourself. Nah, give me the better one. So next thing you know, you come to a conclusion. But do you ever leave Best Buy wondering, I wonder if there's more TVs out there?
Right. Let's go next door.
No, definitely not.
We never go by and say, you know what? I think we need to go shop around with some other place to see what they got, and go through the whole thing again. Because what it creates, though, Davis, and the best way I can put this, Stephen, it creates an experience. Everybody's looking for this, right? The client experience. What is that? You took them through everything, kind of took me through the theme park of TVs, or in our case, sewer renovations. If you're a plumber, it'd be like, well, we got 2 ways of doing this. We can clean the drains, or we can replace the drains. So I got options both ways. Which way would you like to do it? Why would I replace the drains? Right now you got a fracture in the drain. We could just keep chopping the roots off and keep doing that over and over again. And we got a way to do that, options on that. And we also have options to replace the drain, and that would eliminate the need for drain cleaning. Oh, what would that be? Well, I got both ways. Let's show you both ways. Okay, and you show this way? Nah, I got to spend that kind of thing. Let me show you the whole replacement. And then they just choose that, right? So with furnaces and air conditioning units, the same thing. It's like, well, we could fix it. It is 24 years old. I also have options to replace it I can do. And right off the bat, you're making, which category do you want to be in, a choice. And then I got these other choices, the better way to put a better system in, and I got one that's economy. And I always tell people is that, what if so when somebody says, I'm trying to get different prices, they tell me. And I would say, well, what if I said I shopped the entire market in Denver and we already have all the prices? You don't have to keep shopping. I can show you the premium ones, the mid-range, and economy. You could just pick the one you want. What if I said I could do that instead of shopping with 3 different people? Yeah, it would save me a lot of time. It would, wouldn't it? So what should we do? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And then we wound up selling it, right? Because it created the shopping experience in our own mall, but we have all the store. We also own all the stores. We own the premium, mid-range, and economy stores.
Right. Exactly.
It's like I learned this one thing, guys. I had a guy I'm in Beverly. I live near Beverly Hills, right? And I coached the Beverly Hills basketball team. And I told him what I do, and he goes, "You know what? I own the Rolls Royce dealership in Beverly Hills." And I said, "What do you do when somebody wants to go deal on a Rolls Royce?" He goes, I tell him we also own the Mercedes dealership. If you want to take it there, I also own the Chevy dealership. So I can take it. I'll have my driver take it to any one of our places and we can get the right car. I'm here to help you find the right car, whether it's a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes or a Chevy. We own all of them, So he's like, you do exactly what I do, except for I just do it with the different places I own. Does that make sense there, Davis? And,
yeah, exactly.
Steven?
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, and I think another cool tidbit of that is that you're educating the customer along that journey, whether they're kind of conscious of it or not, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's like, I would say, let people start with the Rolls Royce, let them see what they got. Wow, that's too much. Well, let's go down to this one here. We got this one here. And can you email it to me? Well, we're not done yet. Let's go to the next one. Okay. And then, they throw all kinds of things at you. You got to stay on track with this. That's the key thing. The professional knows that, if somebody says, can you get my website fixed real quick, Stephen? Well, first let's go through you got to pump the brakes a little bit and let's take them through the process because, just fix it real quick and get it over with right now. If you can fix it in 7 days, you got the job. It's like, well, Joe, it's going to be a process. It's going to be a little more than 7 days. So let me go ahead and start with this. Does that make sense there, Stephen?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's a great one for us, right? People say, oh my gosh, I need this fixed right now. I need a new website, but I need it in 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, hold on. Let's get to the root of the real problem here. And then let's actually talk about what the options are so that you're not having this conversation in another 3 months and another 3 months and another 3 months. Let's fix it right, or at least educate you on how to fix it right. And then maybe we have to do a Band-Aid fix in the short term, but at least now you have something to work towards.
Exactly. I think that's letting people know that this is the more permanent way. This is the more temporary way. We have all these ways. A lot of people are like, contractors, when you mention it to them, light bulb goes off like, oh yeah, it does make sense that there is because a lot of times people, there's two ways of looking at this. One is that if you look at it in a negative way, most of the things I sell people are things that are still working. Because 95% of what I sell people are things that are going to break down in the future. Like if I say I'm going to replace all the drains in the house, right now we only have a fracture in the front yard, right? Well, but all the other pipes are 1958 and they're obsolete. So if I keep leaving all the old pipes in, we're going to keep running around chasing drain pipes all the time. But if you let me replace all the drain pipes in the house, then it's like a water slide to your front yard out to the street, and we never have any problem. We eliminate the possibility of drain cutting if we did that, right? And so if you tell customers that, the ironic thing is that the tech contractors think that, oh, nobody's going to go for that. Well, the truth is, if you go to a tire store and you say, I want new tires on a 73,000 mile car, they're going to say, well, we got the premium tires, the mid-range and economy, but the premium one, I would recommend we do a brake job and the new struts, and we change the oil too, because they need oil change, Joe. And they would just package and bundle that. You wouldn't get mad at the tire guy for saying that the shocks are bad on your car. You'd probably say, thank God, I didn't even think about my shocks. They're still working, but they're leaking oil, So the thing is that, well, I look at it this way, guys, it's a very American thing to do, which is to show people all the choices and let them choose for themselves. To me, it's un-American to make the choice for somebody. I always say, are you going to sell to an American like a communist? Because in communism, the government chooses what you get. in the United States, the people choose what they get, right? And even though there's a lot of turmoil with the election and stuff like that, what makes me feel good about that is that it does prove that we actually have a choice, right? That there's at least those choices, and we're still free in this country. It still is a free country at this point, and I definitely hope it stays that way, because that's what our program is based on: the freedom to choose. When you restrict the options, you restrict that freedom. So if you look at it bad, you're like, well, you're selling things that aren't broken yet. Yeah, but they're old and they're gonna break. Why don't we fix them? Do we wait for, we change the tires on our car. Do we wait for every tire to go flat before we replace them all? Or you got the one tire flat with 73,000 miles and you're like, you know what? Let's just replace all the ones that are both flat and the ones that are not flat. I mean, a bad service would be to have the customer come in and change a tire every time one goes flat. Then you'd never stop changing tires for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying there? You change them all, and even the ones that are still good, and it's good to go. That's why I want to make sure everybody understands with this. It's not some kind of a money grab, because it's harder to do a job where we change all the tires. But what's the tires for you? What's changing all the tires for a heating company or an electrician? Well, it's doing all, instead of doing one outlet is bad, how about all the outlets and switches in the house? How about the new panel that's obsolete? And you just offer that to people. The biggest thing I could tell you, nobody can purchase something that we don't offer. And so if you don't put it out there, they would never know we even, like a tire shop, how would you know they sold brakes and suspension oil changes? You wouldn't even know, because the name of the place was Just Tires. They don't even call it, they don't call it just oil changes and just suspension. They just say Just Tires. So the service provider, which is always going to be needed, I feel, to communicate all the things that are relevant to this situation that you need here. That's something a machine is not going to ever be able to do, I don't think, Yeah. Which is good for humans. Good. Yay, we win.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. We're still going to be around for a little while, maybe.
At least till I'm dead, probably, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love I love how you talk about the giving of options, right? Because you're right. A lot of times in this industry, I think there probably are some coaches or some people that train it as a money grab, and that's unfortunate. But I love the way that you talk about it, how this is what's actually right for the customer. It's giving them the options in order to make the best decision that's right for them, because somebody might value their time more and be willing to spend a little bit more money to say, you know what, yeah, I know this isn't broken yet, but go ahead and do all of this because I'm willing to invest my money and I don't want to have you back out here again in a year. So giving them that option so that they get to make the decision of what's best for them. You're not taking advantage of that person at all. And then maybe you do have somebody that where financially, maybe they went through COVID year and they just don't have as much money. So like, you know what, just replace this now. I understand that you're probably going to have to come back out, but this is what's best for me right now. And you're doing it in a way that is providing those options and not pushing anything down their throat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right way to do it.
And even if the tire shop sold a patch for $89, they know they're going to be getting, and tell them, hey, you can take the $89 and apply it toward the new tires when you're ready. Then you're coming back. It's not going to be for, it's only a matter of time. The good news for contracting, it's a marathon. The house is all like plumbing doesn't read the newspaper. It doesn't read the weather report, and neither does air conditioning. When it gets old, it's time, right? And we all know that if you own a home, the pleasure of home ownership is owning something that's there. But also you start to realize that this pig is breaking down a lot. That everything in this thing, like I tell you what, I sold the house in Illinois. I moved to California, right? But I had the house. We didn't sell it. We let it sit there for a while because we were on the market with it. It sat on the market for like 8 months. I didn't realize how fast, with me being there, all the little things I took care of, that thing was like a mess by the time I went back in 8 months, because it was like nobody was fixing little weeds or little things. And it was like, looked like something like at the Munsters house or something like that, where it was all overgrown and things like that. So we don't realize that all the little things we do to keep that house in shape, that you don't even realize you're doing there. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we're doing, is heading it off so the customer doesn't have to do that. And I agree with you saying, Stephen, people valuing time over money. You can always make more money, but you can't ever get time back. It's something that's something that's the most valuable thing we have, right?
Yep.
So I got a question for you, Joe. So after you've created all of these value-driven pricing options, or service options, I'll call them, and you've gone through educating the customer on what the various options are and what those solutions are going to look like, and they've selected a tier, an option,
mm-hmm.
and then they ask for a dollar-based discount. How do you respond?
Well, if I were to discount something, we could take off some of the service, because everything I do is bundling and packaging multiple year service agreements. So for instance, I'll say on a furnace sale or the sewer renovation, 10-year service plan, 10 years warranty, service and consumables, 7 years warranty, service and consumables, next one down, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. So I would just say to people, well, if it's on the premium option, I would just say, well, we could. I was on a call in San Diego where I was like, somebody said $45,000 to repipe my entire house and do everything. Yes, with the painting and we'll do the decorating and everything for you. Oh wow! Can you make it less money? Yeah, we could do that. Just take away the 10-year service agreement and let's make it 1 year, and that would get you down to $39,000. So what should we do? And they said, no, I like that. That's the part I like. Well, that's your price. So what should we do? Well, can't you lower the price? I said, well, if I could have lowered the price, I would have, believe me. But I could take off some of the work. Like, we don't have to do the drywall. You could do that, and that would save you another $8,000 for that. The drywall and painting is $8,000. You want to get rid of that? No, I don't want to do that. All right. So what should we do? So just see if people want to get rid of something, because that's the answer to discounts. Here's what I can tell you. The word discount, if you're a premium service company, whether it's marketing, whether it's your pricing, the word discount does not belong in your offer. Do not even say, we give you a discount. Because what are you, Walmart? That's the only place that gives discounts. Not, you don't go to a Rolls-Royce dealership. If you consider yourself closer to Rolls-Royce or Mercedes as opposed to Walmart or Kmart, then you're going to be You better be not using the word discount, because you're not going to go to Nordstrom's and see discounts. You're going to be seeing premium stuff, right? Now, we will give you options. Sure, we have lower cost pants at Nordstrom's for $39, the store brand. That's not that great. Just no, the pockets are small, whatever. We got the good one, the fashionable, we call it, right? And they have the thing that costs $190 for pants. Wow, that must be some good pants. Well, try them on and see what you think, and then you try them on. That is, am I worth $190? Hell yeah. It just because you know what? I always tell people, here's why I say things, Davis. I say, this, Joe, if I discount it, this is an investment in your family. You got to remember one thing. This is a golden nugget right here. The service I provide for you is an investment in your family. Our company only makes about 10% of this whole thing. 90% of it stays in your home with you. The service we provide, the work we do, that's for you and your family. I wouldn't want to put a discount on your family, would you? No, I don't want to do that. So what should we do? Back to that again. Make sense? So I have about 1,800 things, Davis, before I would ever lower. Here's what I can tell you I would never do. I would never lower the price for the exact same work I quoted you, because then I'm a crook. That's where you're slimy. Oh, Steven, you're going to bring the website price down by $5,000. And why didn't he just give me a $5,000 cheaper price to begin? And then the customer's like, why did I only ask for $5,000? If you lowered it by $5,000, I should have asked for $10,000. What was I doing? And then they're going to be like, yeah, you can't trust that, Steven. He's always just lower. He gave me a phony price to begin with. And see, if I didn't ask for the discount, he wouldn't have given it to me. I mean, how does any of us feel buying from somebody who lowers the price without doing it? I don't know how people can live with themselves by doing that, actually,
Yeah. And, a lot of it, I remember when I started my first company and I was like, oh man, I'll do anything to get clients and stuff like that. And I would give discounts. And then I realized exactly what you're saying. I was like, wait, that's not helping anybody.
No, you can't sustain your coworkers. You're going to wind up reducing the benefits and pay they get. You can't reduce, your vendors are going to stop selling to you because you can't afford to pay their bills. So that's what discounts represent. And believe me, I did that. I used to do dump and chase back in the 80s and 90s, early 90s. I'd quote something, leave it behind, and come back and make phone calls till the customer's ears bled. And then I'd get some of the jobs. And of course, I'd always be like, I tell you what, if you could do that $5,000 job for $3,000, you got the work. Okay, because I was just dumb. I didn't realize that if I said, Joe, that's the price, that 90% of people were like, okay, well then let's just do it for the high price. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize if I stood my ground that it would get I had to be desperate enough to be completely in debt where I would listen to somebody tell me, stop doing that. Stop giving discounts. Just stay your ground. That's your price. If that's the price you need or more, tell people what it is and then shoot straight with them. And then work your ass off to make the value there. That's what he told me at the time, right? And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. And sure enough, I just, I hear people saying, try to motivate people to discount. That's like the smallest tool we could use. So many more ways to create value than lowering a price. Now, lowering a price doesn't create value. It reduces value,
Yeah.
That makes sense, Davis? Is that long? That's a long answer to a short question. A short question, right?
Well, that's the exact response I was looking for. Is how do you drive value to the solution versus the dollar cost, right? And I think that's something that as marketers, Stephen, you and I run into a lot. Is especially when we're doing digital advertising. It's so easy to put an ad out there that's value based. And when I say value based, I mean it's a dollar rate, like lock in your rate today, or get 15% off, and those things kind of work on the short term basis, and there is a place for that. But there's also, I think, more importantly, a place for building your brand through the way that you market and you advertise it. And what I'm getting, Joe, from what you're saying about how you devise pricing and options, it's all about that customer experience that you're creating from that first interaction to the last interaction. And so I think what's really cool is where those two meet from, the sales process, Joe, which is your expertise. And then how do you actually build that into your marketing?
That's a really good question, Davis. To me, the two are seamless, right? marketing is a promise of what we are going to provide for you and what's different about what we're going to provide. I would say that, there are people who are saying, call our company at Acme because you're always going to get options. Where you get always premium mid-range economy choices. That could be something. I tell you, when that phone rings, I'm going to train people. That's how they're going to do it. Hey, thank you for calling Acme. It's a great day at Acme. How can I make you smile? Yeah. How much does it cost for a new furnace? Well, thank you for calling us. I appreciate that. Well, here's how it works. We send a quality comfort advisor out to your home. He looks at the entire system and he gives you some premium mid-range economy choices. The idea is you could pick the one that's right for you and your family. And the idea is to find something affordable. And we actually do that. We have 3 ways of doing it. We have a front of the line service agreement you can get the 10% bonus pricing off of that equipment. And you also get a heating and air conditioning tune-up with that. It would be $249 for that estimate. If you want to do it to where we do a normal dispatch fee, it'd be $99. That'd be an exact appointment time. And then we have a standby where you got to be flexible. Anytime today, we'll be there. It'd be free, So what should we do? So the bottom line is we're not going to tell people we're doing these options. The person answering the phone would actually give the options. It's like a lot of people would be scared, like, you can't charge money for an estimate. Well, you can't charge money for the estimate, but you can charge money for access to the schedule. What? Yes. Go right to the front of the line. Because some people, imagine the heat of the summer last year when it was hotter than the surface of the sun in the United States. If you had told people, if you're looking for a new air conditioning unit, you go right to the front of the line for $249. What do you think? A lot of people, here's what I find. I'll tell you what our clients have found. 38% would pay for that estimate for $249. And if you said it's $99 for an exact time, and if we don't show up at that time, it's free, that $99, put me down for $99. I don't want to screw around today. My time is worth something, right? And then the free estimate is just sometime today or tomorrow. We'll let you know. We'll text you when we pop available, kind of a thing, right? If I told the Stephen Christopher, look at this guy. He owns. If I had Stephen Christopher's money, I'd throw mine away. I could tell you that. A Stephen Christopher, what's he going to do? Stephen, would you do the $249 in the heat of summer when your family has no air conditioning, or the $99, or the free? Wait for a couple of days. And you tell your wife, hey, honey, don't worry. Someday, today or tomorrow, we got to be flexible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She'd be like, get them out here as soon as possible, by or at an exact time.
How much did they want? $249 for the front of the line. You believe that? Yeah, get them out here.
Yeah.
What? It's like, so interesting thing is that people don't think that you could charge. They think everything's got to be free estimates. Well, you're already showing the customer you don't value your own time, that you're not putting any value on that time. So I'm going to put you in the front of the line and get out there now. Then it's $249. And you get free diagnostic charges the rest of the year for that too, and a free heating and cooling tune-up. That's what you get. Now, if you want to do the $99, that would just be standard dispatch fee, and it would be on time right there. If we don't get there on time, it's $99 is free, right? Oh, I'm going to see there on time. So if you're not there, then you got a free estimate anyway. What difference does it make, right? So you're playing with house money, right? There's no risk because they don't want to do the top one. They might want to do the bottom one. And then you can get a coupon. Well, can I do the exact appointment time but not pay anything? Well, we do. Are you a first-time customer? I am. What if I said I could do it the first time, give you that free estimate, and we make an exact appointment? I give you a 2-hour window. How's that sound? We kind of not the same thing. Let me do a 2-hour window, and I'll go and give you that coupon for that. What would you say if I did that? Yeah, that'd be great. Let's do that. So you got some ways to move here. It's not just static. You got to have options for yourself as a service provider. But I hope that answers your question. From the time we market, we should be giving the people, ask us about our pure motive service choices. What's that? Create intrigue. What is that thing about well, we give you a premium mid-range economy, and we give you a affordable rate, monthly price where it's interest free. If I said I could do that, what would happen? That's good. Yeah. So may I have your address? And that's pretty much book the call, right? So I believe the choices are something not just the field people should do. I think the marketing department should be involved with it. I believe the customer service team answering the phone should be part of it. It's got to be one of my friends, Steve Kasha, who everyone knows Kasha Communications. What a great guy from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He used the word congruency, which means that it's important that we're consistent throughout the organization, that we're offering it in the marketing, in the answering the phone, and the guys do it, the sales guy does it, everybody does it. Make sense?
Yep. I think just that one point alone, right? If somebody didn't get anything else out of this, which would be crazy, that point of congruency is such a big piece. Just making sure that all the parts in your company are talking to each other and know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Marketing, CSRs, sales team, comfort advisors. I mean, well, there you go. There's an extra.
How do you, and Stephen, as you do marketing for a living, and one of the first things I know you probably do when somebody says, yeah, take a look at my website, and then you see like 18 different fonts, and then you're like, this is amateur night. Like, like it's not congruent. It's like they used a logo in one thing, a different logo over here. What the hell is going on over there? The brand is off. The thing isn't, the fonts are off, the spacing, there's tight spacing here, wide spacing here. There's all these different things that got to be consistent. What makes the website look good? It makes it look good because like this page, it's wow. It's got the right, it's like, this is the same as this one. You feel comfortable. Isn't that what it is? Congruency, I believe, creates comfort in people who purchase, because like these guys are consistent. They do what they say they're going to do just by the way things look in the marketing and the way they do their pricing. It's congruent with each other. That's one of the things I think we all look at. Was this amateur night a real thing based on if it's consistent looking? Make sense?
Yep, absoluther.
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff. I think we just solved the world's problem. I think we did. I think we may have just solved all the world's problems in one podcast. I'm not sure, but a lot of them,
Yeah, pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's amazing. And we only have a couple minutes left here, so I think we're going to have to land this plane. Although there's just so much more that I wanted to ask you, Joe. So we're going to have to invite you back another time.
Well, I'm going to run. I said you'll run out of things to ask me before I run out of things to tell you. So it's going to be no problem there, right? I mean, you put a quarter in the Uncle Joe jukebox, and something's going to come out, right? That's it.
Awesome, man. So, Joe, before I share a couple bullet points that I took away from this, share with people where they can find out more about you or where they can contact you if they're interested.
Well, we have our website is contractorselling.com, which is our main website, and we have live training there. We also have our e-learning and things we do there, and I also do coaching with people as well. And if anybody wants to go on Facebook and look me up as just Joe Crisara and become my Facebook friend and join, I belong to several different groups, and we'll help. A good place to start is by letting me help you there, because I'll give you some free stuff, and then you get started. And then even from this podcast, I hope you can put some of the information in place and make more money and profit, both personally and professionally, so you can do well. So give me a call, and I'm available for you. Remember everybody, you're the reason for my work. You're not an interruption to it. That's what I always tell everybody. Make sense?
That's great. I love that. Yeah. And if anybody listening doesn't know Joe already, which I think a lot of people already do, go check his work out. Go check him out on Facebook. He's always giving away free stuff in all the groups. So you should definitely know Joe. So Joe, thank you again so much for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. And let's roll some final little takeaways. Let's see if I captured enough of this world problem solving podcast that we did. All right. So here's some of my primary takeaways that I got out of this one. In the beginning, we talked about, so many contractors are always focused on trying to save people money. And that's where Joe was a long time ago when he started and until he had a mentor say like, Joe, why are you always trying to save people money? Focus on adding more value. And that theme kind of came up throughout. So for anybody out there thinking about, how can I save people money, or how can I give a discount, or any sort of those scarcity mindsets around lack, start just finding ways to add more value and focus way more of your time and attention there. Next one is the price can only be as high as our ability to explain the value and benefits. So just think about that when you're doing your pricing. And if you have a price that is so high that you can't explain the value and benefits, you might want to relook at that pricing. And And then if you have a certain pricing that you want to be or that you know you should be, just make sure that you're able to explain those value and benefits. And anybody that's selling that is able to explain those value and benefits as well. Customers won't be mad at you for giving them options. So many times in this industry, we see it all the time. You know, somewhere along the line, it got a bad rap that if we're giving people options, we're trying to oversell them or we're trying to push something in there. And that's not the case. They're not going to be mad at you for giving them more options. So give them the options, educate them on all of the different options that they have, and then let them choose based on what is a best fit for them. Because ultimately, you don't know what's going to be the best fit for them until you give them those options. So they're not going to be mad at you for giving them additional options. Next, contract. This was great. I have never heard this one before. Contracting is a marathon. And that just means that, you know, look, people that own their homes, Joe said it best. He said, you know, the houses and the plumbing in houses, they don't read the news. They don't look at the weather. The stuff is going to break whenever it's going to break. So contracting is a marathon. So just make sure that you're staying in front of your customers over and over and over again, giving them those options. And, you know, whatever they choose today, if they don't choose the top option, then great. You're going to be back in that home again. So it's a marathon. You don't have to do everything in this one visit with them. Continue giving them options, continue following up with them. It's a marathon. And the last big one that I got was, if you're a premium company, the word discount does not belong in your vocabulary. If people start to ask you for discounts, don't just give a $1 discount. Change some of the services. So remove some of those additional benefits that you have put in there, because your time is extremely valuable. You are worthwhile out there. So get rid of that vocabulary of discount. If you're a premium company, which everybody listening to this is, and when somebody starts to ask you for that discount, just take some of the options and the additional services out of that. And as Joe says so well, what do you think we should do now?
Mm-hmm. What should we do?
What should we do? What should we do? There it is.
Those are trademark, by the way, those words. All
right, I love it. So what should we do? So awesome, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with Davis and I for today's episode of Home Service Success TV with good old Uncle Joe, man. And like I said, if you don't know Joe, go out, find him. He's all over Facebook. He's in all the groups or check him out on his website. So thank you so much for the time today. We appreciate you and look forward to catching up soon. If you ever have any questions that we can help with, we are very much in the same line as Joe. We're here to help. You're not bothering us by asking us questions about marketing, regardless of if you actually need another marketing agency or not, or if we're going to work together. It doesn't matter. Just we want you to make sure that you're spending your dollars in the right way. So hit us up if you have any questions. Have an awesome rest of your day.